The first room that taught me Hunt County's language wasn't a courthouse. It wasn't a boardroom. It wasn't a commissioner's court chamber. It was a house. Long before I knew what an abatement was, or why executive session always seemed to swallow the interesting parts, I knew what happened when truth changed the temperature of a room. I knew the pause before the answer. I knew the soft voice that meant danger. I knew the careful rearrangement of language that comes right before somebody tries to make reality more convenient. That's the thing people miss about places like this. Families do it first. Counties just scale it up. They market Hunt County as quiet, humble, hardworking, a slice of Texas tradition. But what the brochures never mention is that this place has always been haunted, not by ghosts, by the things people refuse to say out loud. I didn't learn to investigate Hunt County because I was brave. I learned because it sounded familiar, because the first people who taught me how power works did it at a kitchen table, because by the time the county tried the trick on me, I already knew the choreography. And once you realize an entire place is speaking the same language that once kept you small, you have only two choices: go quiet, or learn to translate. I chose translation. Welcome to Hunt County, Texas. Officially, it begins as a frontier success story. Rich blackland soil, expansion, rails, ambition, fresh starts. That's the polished version. The less polished version is that the land was already occupied. Long before county lines and property descriptions, this region held Caddoan presence along with other native peoples moving through and living across the prairie. Settlement did not arrive on empty ground. It arrived the way these things usually do, with naming, with removal, with the slow conversion of somebody else's home into somebody else's inheritance. That matters. Because silence here did not begin with modern development deals, executive session, or public-private choreography. It was present at the county's creation. First you remove the people, then you tidy the story, and then there is the fire. There is always fire. In 1884, a blaze tore through Greenville and gutted the courthouse along with much of the surrounding commercial district. Officially, it was disaster. Functionally, it was also erasure. That's one of the reasons fire matters so much in places like this. It does more than consume wood and brick. It edits, it narrows. It gives everyone permission to say, with a sad face and open hands, that the truth is simply no longer available. Sometimes that is true. Sometimes it is just convenient. Either way, the result is the same. After enough smoke, memory becomes negotiable. Then came the interurban. From 1913 to 1948, the Texas Electric Railway connected Greenville to a wider world. It was infrastructure as promise, mobility, connection, modernity, momentum. And like so many promises around here, it sounded permanent right up until it wasn't. When the interurban disappeared, the tracks were not the only thing that mattered. Rights of way matter. Easements matter. Corridors matter. Authority over land and utility access has a way of surviving long after the public-facing story collapses. The visible machine dies. The invisible leverage remains. That is another lesson Hunt County seems to have learned young. Never underestimate the afterlife of infrastructure. Even when the public thinks a chapter is closed, the paperwork is often still breathing somewhere. That is the county I'm talking about. Not just one scandal, not one board, not one crooked room. A county that learned very early how to remove the body and preserve the ritual. A county that learned how to survive scrutiny by changing what it could afford to say and when it could afford to say it. That's why local history matters here. Not as nostalgia, as method. Because once you line the old stories up beside the new ones, the county stops looking unlucky. It starts looking practiced. At some point, Hunt County stopped looking like a collection of roads and departments. It started looking like a single organism with a survival instinct, a nervous system, a muscle memory, a house, just bigger. And once that clicked into place, I couldn't unsee it. Every agenda started looking like a family script. Every budget became a confession with the adjectives filed off. Every polite answer started sounding like the room trying to protect itself from plain English. That is what I want outsiders to understand about Hunt County. The problem here is not just scandal, it is atmosphere. It is the way a room changes when a clean question gets asked. The way language softens when the stakes get bigger. The way everybody suddenly becomes very interested in process the minute substance threatens to enter the chat. That is not random civic awkwardness, that is weather. And weather, in Hunt County, usually means somebody already knows more than they're prepared to say in public. This place doesn't just bury its past, it layers it. A courthouse square over a burning, a development packet over a corridor, a bond campaign over a balance sheet, a cheerful slogan over a long-term obligation. The old county never fully disappears, it just gets covered by new language. Pitchforks became clipboards, torches became policies, mobs became committees. The fires ended, the doctrine didn't. It learned paperwork, and once you start looking at Hunt County correctly, you notice something else. The pattern doesn't sit in one room, it loops. Greenville, Wolf City, Quinlan, Commerce, Campbell, different towns, different accents, different development language, same architecture. Every county has an invisible boundary that keeps its most destabilizing memories from traveling too far before somebody contains them, renames them, or folds them into folklore. Hunt County just hums when the wind hits it right. There are no ghosts in Hunt County. There are records that haven't finished speaking. That is why this channel exists. Not to perform outrage, not to chase one scandal at a time until the county gets bored and resets the room. This exists to keep the ledger straight, to make the pattern visible, to remind people that what they're looking at now is not always new. Sometimes it is just an old habit wearing better clothes. So welcome to Hunt County. Look behind the scenery. Learn the rules of the land. Observe before you open your mouth. Because the picture in plain sight is rarely the whole truth. This is the county. This is the doctrine. And this is the part where we stop pretending the pattern arrived here by accident. My name is Cass Wakefield, and this is the Hunt County Signal. If there's a place, a room, a meeting, or a local story that never sat right with you, leave it in the comments. Because around here, memory is still doing work the official record never finished,